How would I sum up Arsenal versus Newcastle? Disappointing, yet not surprising. Carabao Cup semi final, guys, we're going to do a review as we do with every Arsenal game. Going to be reviewing Arsenal's performance against Newcastle. It was one that was less than desirable. Arsenal losing 2-0, but again, as mentioned, disappointing yet not surprising. This is essentially the epitome of why Arsenal are kind of where they are and have experienced what they have over the last 2 seasons and soon to be 3 seasons, because again, as we spoke about on this channel, they lack that clinical edge, they lack that X factor, and we'll go through all of the going ons during the game, so let me not get ahead of myself. We'll go through the starting lineups from an Arsenal perspective, as strong as it probably could be. Havertz coming back into the team, Lars Lewis Skelly also coming back into the team playing left back, Timber at right back, which was a welcome surprise, party at CDM. So from an Arsenal perspective, looked really strong. We had Trossard, who was on the right, and Martinelli was on the left. I did see some swapping between the two during the game. From a Newcastle perspective, a very strong team as well, and I think it kind of dictated the importance for both managers. Newcastle obviously winning this trophy, being in the final a couple of years ago, would mean a lot to them to get that revenge and also to get some silverware in general. It's been a long time for them. Likewise for Arsenal, it's been 5 years since we won a trophy, and so the need or the want for silverware is definitely there. Is it top of the list from a Arsenal fan's perspective in terms of trophies that we're looking to win, given how close we've been with the Premier League and also the importance of the Champions League? No. However, who's going to turn their nose up at a trophy, especially when you haven't won one in a number of years? So very important for both teams, and you saw that in the importance of the team. Isak, Murphy, and Gordon up front, regular front three for Newcastle at this moment in time. We've spoken about how well Murphy's performed, and this game was no different. Willock and Joe Linton in the midfield, Denali in the six, and so Willock coming in, replacing Bruno in the lineup, but again, he comes with his own set of attributes which can cause opposition players a number of problems, and he then executed those really well today, playing beyond the striker. And we also saw Isak dominating, and we'll go through the goings on of the game. As mentioned, it's an epitome of some of the issues that Arsenal have had in some of the bigger games already. They lack that clinical edge, as you can see by some of the numbers here, and as you can see from the momentum, which I think doesn't really tell the story. Arsenal were absolutely dominating, to be honest with you. A lot of domination against a Newcastle team who are difficult to break down. A Newcastle team who have gone to some of the best teams in the country and caused them a number of problems. But Arsenal were doing pretty well. They were playing really well, popping the ball along very nicely. A number of goals should have been scored. I think back to the Martinelli chance, one of the biggest chances, and I think I'll see if we can find that opportunity. If I can find it here, it may have been this one. Yes, the Martinelli chance in the 29th minute. This was an opportunity that Martinelli was put through clean on goal. And I'm not saying it's an automatic goal, but he has to work the goalkeeper a lot better than he did. It was a shot that didn't actually end up completely on target. Yeah, it was actually off target coming off the post. And so Arsenal not taking their opportunities, you can see by the expected goal count for Newcastle. You can see by the possession. Again, Arsenal were dominating, but they need that clinical edge. And Isak, with the goal that he scored, a moment of fortune, you would say, to a degree, but fortune favors the brave. And Isak was very, very smart in his movement. He gets into a position where the ball falls to him, but not only does it fall to him, he essentially shoves Martin Odegaard out of the way. And I found it quite funny, to be honest with you, that he one is one on one with Martin Odegaard. Arsenal are a little bit too aggressive. Gabriel and Saliba both trying to get the ball, and it's not wrong. You can't really predict a bounce like that, but there's no cover, there's no awareness for where Isak is, and he's one on one with Odegaard. Odegaard's doing a pretty good job marking Isak, but the strength advantage and the intelligence of a striker to just literally get very physical, push him off, and gain that yard of space. Odegaard gets lost. Isak finishes, and it's a story that we've seen time and time and time again from an Arsenal perspective. You're playing really well, you're dominating, you're creating, even creating chances. For all the issues that we've spoken about in terms of creating chances, our biggest flaw, which Thierry has spoken about from the beginning, is Arsenal don't know how to put the ball in the back of the net. And honestly, it's not just about one player. It's a complete attitude in terms of being clinical and understanding the value of your chances. And I think, yes, Arsenal need an attacker. I've spoken about it. We need an X factor, no doubt about it. We've got one X factor in the team, and that's Bukayo Saka. Outside of that, players come and go as they like, and Arsenal needs someone more. But and we've known that for such a long time. It's not anything new, if I'm being honest with you guys. We've known it for the longest time. But even there was a report when Arsenal lost to Bayern Munich saying that the board recognised that Arsenal needed an X factor in attack, and 200 plus days later, halfway through this season, it's not there. And so, again, you can't complain. I'm not surprised. You guys should know that by now. I'm not surprised that we're in this position. It's like it's a player that Arsenal should have signed when he was at Real Sociedad. It's something that a lot of people had already seen. A prototypical striker, fast, strong, tall, has that general striking ability, can pick out a pass, can put the ball in the back of the net. He has all of that ability, and if he's coming into the Premier League, he should be coming to a team like Arsenal. Many fans would think, but Newcastle was smart in their business. They paid the money when it was required, and they've benefited from that. He is a £100+ million player, definitely. He gets the goal, and he essentially creates the second goal as well. And so, if you look through his performance overall, it was a very, very good performance. It was clinical in nature. He didn't have complete control of the game. That was with Arsenal. However, he showed his quality and he showed the difference between the two teams. And Kai Havertz, for as good or as bad as he's played for Arsenal, and as good or as bad as Gabriel Jesus has been in the last few weeks, there's a difference and there's a level. And if either of those players want to be a number 9 for Arsenal, you're not reaching that level. You need to be delivering. And Kai Havertz had a moment 2-0 down where he should have put the ball in the back of the net. Ball comes off his shoulder. Not good enough. Again, you have to call a spade, and he needs to be shown his quality. In games like this, when everyone's doubting him, Gabriel Jesus, when you haven't scored in your last game, and again this game you came off the bench and didn't show much, Arsenal's number 9s are not doing the business. And when you see someone like Isak, you can't help to see people get frustrated, no doubt about it. And key people I want to talk about from an Arsenal perspective, Odegaard, I'm not impressed. It's not me hating, but we spoke about how important he is to Arsenal, and we've seen Arsenal without Saka, and we've seen Arsenal without Odegaard, and I'm telling you, Saka is the most important player for Arsenal without a doubt. Odegaard is important. He has his role, no doubt about it. He is our captain, and when he's at his best, he's dynamic. The effort was there, no doubt about it. But yeah, I need to see a little bit more from him. He needs to take the game by the scruff of the neck, and I don't think he's doing that at this moment. Arsenal's performance is marred by them not being able to put the ball in the back of the net. If they were, it would be looking at a different game. Unfortunately, they didn't. Newcastle put on a stellar defensive performance. We've looked at some of the stats already, but you can see that for large parts of the game, they were camped in their area. Arsenal had complete control of the second half, as you can see here, but it doesn't matter because if Eddie Howe knows anything, and he knows a lot, trust me, he knows now how to initiate a very, very good low block. He shut his team down and said, we're 2-0 up, we've done the business, Arsenal, you've messed up, and we're going to go home and take that 2-0 lead and potentially be going into the Carabao Cup final. And so it's disappointing from an Arsenal perspective, but again, not surprising. So where did Arsenal go from here? Well, again, when it came to the team and how they set up, I thought they set up pretty well. My big issue would have been probably wanting to see Gabriel Jesus somewhere in this starting lineup if we had a role for that. But again, Arsenal's issue is more than just one player. Collectively, they can't put the ball in the back of the net at a good enough rate. They don't scare teams. They don't deliver on a consistent enough basis. And it's hard to say that because you've seen this team go on runs where they've scored so many goals. But when teams shut them down, when teams looked relatively strong, Arsenal aren't seeming to be able to break them down. Once Newcastle went 1-0 up or 2-0 up, the threat that Arsenal had was minimised, if we're being honest. And so it's something that Mikel Arteta needs to look at. They're in January. Are they going to do something? Are they going to sign a player? We know the kind of player that they need, the prototype for them. They need either a clinical striker, a bigger striker, someone who can deliver, a complete striker if they can find that, or they need a dynamic winger who can take players on one-on-one. Multiple names out there. I'm not going to list them all. We can have a video discussing who Arsenal should be looking at. But yeah, definitely there's a lot to look at. Again, congratulations to Newcastle because it was a stellar performance. I've spoken about how well Eddie Howe has set them up previously. Strong defensively, they know what they're doing. In the midfield, very robust. They are not a light touch at all. Very physical, and they work very hard in attack as well. And when they have the opportunity to spring forward, they definitely do that. So again, they are looking very strong to go into the Carabao Cup final, and what an appearance that would be for these boys. So they would have the opportunity to get their revenge after they lost to Man United in the final previously. Guys, we'll be coming back to you with Tottenham versus Liverpool tomorrow, covering that game. Guys, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll catch you guys soon. Peace.